Rafter Construction is the design-build contractor for all of your construction needs. Quality and customer satisfaction will always remain our top priority. The American dream has inspired the Rafter P team to push to be community leaders and support the local youth because that is our future. Let's now talk with the founder and owner, Brad Pryor.
Hey guys, so today we're gonna more or less line up the start of what we need before we do that site visit, preparing the design process. And what we mean by that is there's certain things we need as we start to get into that. And one of them, most importantly, is a survey. As that gets us the sculpture of the land, our restrictions and all that good stuff. But we need to be thinking about the things in the size of the project, size of the house, outbuildings, outdoor space you want to use, barns, whatever. And every process is the same. So if we're planning for a commercial or a farm and ranch project, or a barn dominium, as simple as that, we need to know what we're working with before we get there. So, we need to get that figured out, lined out. When we get there, we know what we're dealing with. And we have that survey in hand. Any kind of, and at this time too, you need to start looking at the interior part of what you want inside. Start saving that stuff, your dream, your wish list, so to speak. And then kind of tell us, okay, well, what are your bare minimums and what's the wish list? So when we're budgeting, some of that wish list might be a part of what we normally do. And then what outside of that is, we can kind of say, okay, well, you got more money in your budget, after the site visit, this is the things we determined. That process is very important to make sure that project gets off the ground. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the more we know, the better, obviously, to give you the most accurate budget possible. I mean, in that initial site visit, we're kind of looking at more infrastructure stuff and all that, but the girls in the background are going over and already kind of have a budget going as far as interior finish out and what types of windows and what colors and all that kind of stuff, so that we can kind of see, when we get to the land of how this is going to look with the things around it. I mean, if you want a deep blue house but every barn on your property is red, at that point we'd probably say, hey, are you sure you want to do this color, because everything that you already have out here it doesn't really match with that. So just little stuff like that if we know on the front end, we're able to kind of catch that stuff whenever we're there.
Right. Well, I think too, we kind of are kind of taught from the interior design girls to you with other bigger projects, stuff like that. You're all taught to, hey, kind of listen to the customer and kind of press if you don't think it's going to look right. But that's a fine line sometimes, because sometimes you can step in a hole real quick about the, man, I don't know if that color, but there's been some houses that, are some very odd colors or barns, but it is just what people want. That's part of being a custom builder. But having that survey and playing off of that, and then having that space that you want to actually build, to do whatever you want to with the horses, or you want to build your own business, and you're a mason and you want to have your own yard, or you want to sell a product or a hair salon. I mean, anything to that stuff, we need to know what that space is, where you know what to work in. So, outside of that, what else do you think is most common before we start up or fire up the process? And here's your budget, everything's solidified, where all the projects go good from there.
Kind of have a budget in mind. Usually kind of have a preliminary budget rolling already by the time that we do a site visit, so you already know. Obviously we don't charge for our site visits, we don't charge for anything preliminarily. We're not going to ask for any drawing money or anything like that until we're comfortable with that budget, and making sure that works and it's realistic to the project itself. And when we get on site and we're starting to do the infrastructure stuff there's no way for us to know without seeing it. At least now we know that we're kind of starting at that baseline of hey, we accounted for 100 foot of water line in our initial budget, but we have 350 foot of water line. So that's going to obviously add a little bit of money. Be as transparent as possible so that there's no surprises at the end whenever it comes contract time and there's added money that we try to let you know as soon as possible.
Right. And I think too, the thing that really crunch or that we run across is we give everything, we do all the stuff, we solidify the budget with you, you're comfortable with it, and then you go in a design meeting and you start, I really want to be at 200,000. Well, we're going completely backwards. So get real with yourself, and because you also have to go to get your funding. Make sure your funding's set up so that budget that you're talking about and that we're discussing with you, you're approved for and you can comfortably afford it. Nobody wants to go through all this. Next thing you know, well, I didn't even talk to the banker yet. I was told I was pre-qualified 3 years ago. Right. Well, a lot of things change in some people's life in 3 years. Just like material or life changes, what have you. But knowing everything that you want in there and knowing your wish list and knowing that, hey, I really want a space, I really want an efficient house, baseline stuff that we're already going to do. But know that stuff going into it. So when we go out there and and run into some obstacles, you're not just like, well, I really was at 300 grand. Yeah, we gave you 300 grand, but there was no space. And we're not gonna sit there and try to go up on you. But you gotta be real with yourself too, that we've never seen the property, you know?
Yeah, and there's certain things that are out of our control, you know, and the more we know up front, the better, like I said earlier. But, you know, we're going to be as reasonable as possible as we can in letting you know up front rather than waiting until the end. You know, we're not the used car salesman type of people. Like, what we tell you from the whole process is what we try to follow through with the whole time. And, you know, if we know that, you know, here's a budget I'm comfortable with and stuff, then we're going to do everything we can in the background to get it there. And then if we can't get it there with everything that you're asking for, then we're going to start kind of picking and choosing lists of, hey, here's the grand total, but here's a way that we can get down to where you need to be.
Right, and that's why we do, when we do get that budget put together, we want to sit in front of you and discuss stuff instead of emailing, here's a number. Because sometimes you get that shock and awe of that budget, and they're like, oh, they just thought their dreams just got crushed. When realistically, we just need to sit down and validate, and there's things you could have done with, or we could have made a little smaller, or done and you know, get to that space. But you got to give us a chance, and that's why we're so hands-on, and to get you there. We're not trying to crush dreams or upsell you either, all in the same hand.
And nobody wants to spend 3 months of their life on something that just wasted their time, you know.
Right.
Obviously, we want to help everybody we can, but, you know, we don't want to waste 3 months of our customers' lives if we don't think we can get there. So the more knowledge we can have about what you're trying to be, the more efficient time we're going to be spending on actually moving forward with the project.
Right. And I say this a lot, and I think some people don't quite understand it, but what we charge for plans doesn't nowhere near make us money. We actually lose money if the project doesn't go forward. So we have to do everything up front to make sure that you're comfortable with everything we're telling you, and we have to qualify that and get it there at the end before you go fund it. Because if not, we lost money. Because that's to be your partner in the build, it's to get to where we can do the project and it fits in what we can do and perform. That's why our plans are 25, 30 pages deep. They're not 3 pages for somebody for $1,500. Go hire you an interior designer, go hire your architect. You're gonna spend $20,000, $15,000 on a real set of plans that somebody can build off of. That, you look at the price that we charge, then you're like, wow, how are they even making money? We're not. We need to get the bills, so we don't want to sit there and lie to you. And you know, change order, we don't do change orders unless you add something to the project as we go. So I hope this helped. Check us out on Facebook and the gram, Burning Hot on 7018.